So if you found this video, you probably made up your mind that you want to start using Arch Linux, or maybe you just want to give it a try and see what all the fuss is all about. What I can tell you from experience is that Arch Linux, unlike other Linux distributions, gives you a very fundamental understanding of how Linux systems works, and in the long run, you're going to be much more familiar with Linux concepts, the commands, because Arch Linux forces you to build everything from scratch. And unlike, maybe when you want to install Ubuntu or Fedora, you get a ready-made GUI where you just have to, pretty much like how you install Windows. But with Arch Linux, you get to build and you get to choose exactly what you want to have in your operating system. And this, of course, you're gonna lose some time, but it also, the fact that you get to choose is going to reduce bloatwares, and you're also going to be able to set particular custom settings that you wouldn't be able to do with other distributions. So let's just get ahead into this video, and the purpose of me showing this slide is because I wanted to go as fast as possible. I kind of looked up other tutorials on YouTube, and it's just some random guy, just talking for like 20 minutes. I mean, it's not supposed to be hard. So here I present to you 30 simple instructions on how to get your Arch Linux going, and how to get into your operating systems. And yeah, so first thing you want to do, of course, is to get yourself a USB drive. Insert that into the computer, because now we're going to be preparing the image from the official website. So once you get your USB drive, insert that into your computer, and this is the computer. You might have maybe two computers. I use my laptop to download the image, and before putting in my desktop computer where I want to have my Arch Linux. So second step right now is to go to rufus.ie, and you want to grab the official image. So you're gonna see it right there. Refers, the current one was released on the 2nd of October. So get that, and go into Rufus. Pretty easy. I'm pretty sure if you're trying Arch Linux, you've probably done this before. So select your device and select the ISO image, and then hit start. So that's gonna write everything to the USB, and then eject your USB device, of course. Next step is to insert in the target PC. Now, if this is the same PC for you, go ahead. Just know that it's going to be different. Like, to maybe if you want to dual boot, you're going to be making sure that you writing the image to different partitions. But this tutorial is specifically, to have Arch Linux as the base system on the target PC. So once you're on the computer, this might vary from models to models, but for most computers, it's the key F12 to enter the boot menu, where you get to choose which operating system you want to load into. Now it might be F2, but the majority of systems use F12. So next, select your USB hard drive, and depending on what you have in your BIOS, most modern computers use UEFI, but if you're using a really old computer, you might want to go with legacy. So choose USB, your USB hard drive, where you have your Arch Linux image. Next step is to click the install medium, the first option right there, and then now it might take a few seconds, and you're gonna be booted into root at Arch ISO. So here, the first thing you want to do is enter CF disk. So this is pretty much a disk manager where you can, we're going to be creating and mounting partitions here. So enter this specific command, CF disk, /day/SDA. SDA is the main disk where you're going to be having your Arch operating system. And next thing is that you want to delete all partitions until you only have until you can see the amount of free space that you have. Now in my computer, I have a 2 TB hard disk, so I couldn't really show everything on this image, but to the right side, you're gonna see exactly what how much space you have. And so that is so you don't have partitions that you're not using. So Arch Linux is going to have access to whatever partitions that is going to be, and also so you don't have problems with grub and your bootloader later on. So delete all partitions. Next step is to um, create a new partition, and we're gonna this one is gonna have a very little size, 512 m, and it's gonna be the EFI partitions, basically where the bootloader and grub is gonna be. And then so hit new, enter that. That's gonna create your EFI partition, and then now you wanna highlight the free space that you have, and this time you want to create the root file system. Now this is like where you're all like, it's like the storage of your operating system, and that is going to take that is going to expand to fit the available free space. So since 512 m is pretty much nothing, your free space is going to be virtually the size of your disk. So once you're done, select quit, and now we're going to be formatting the partitions. So the Linux systems, the EFI partitions and the root file system, they have to have specific partitions, or you might have trouble booting into the operating system later on. So for the EFI, you want it to be FAT32, and for the root file system, you want it to be X4. So just enter this command, mks.fat, and then just as I have it here, and so you're going to be formatting the partitions. Next step, you want to create a boot. I'm not entirely sure, but you're gonna create what is gonna be read by the grub. So the command to do that is make dir, of course, and then /mnt/boot, and then you want to mount the partitions you create earlier on. So just enter the commands right here. Next step now is where we install the base system Arch using packstrap, and you want to just enter packstrap /mnt base Linux space Linux hyphen firmware vim nano. We're going to be using these editors later on. So once you have that done, it might take a couple minutes. Go to step 17, and now so we're going to be using genfs tab, and genfs tab is because Linux system wants to know how to prioritize all these partitions we've created. So it's gonna unlike maybe Fedora or Ubuntu where everything is automatic, you are going to be the one that's going to set this manually, and this can feel abstract for a lot of people, but just enter the commands you see here on my screen, and after that go to step 18, and now we're going to enter CRUT. CRUT gives you I think more privileges. It's like more lower level. You can see it as a more lower level terminal, unlike other terminals like unlike the GNOME terminal, which you're also going to install. So enter arch CRUT /mnt, and then the nano editor /etc/local.jane. So now we're going to create the localization so that the computer itself is going to understand the key inputs. And so once you're in that editor, you're going to get a long list of the different locals. Now depending on where you where you are in the world, you want to choose that. I think there's Europe, there's pretty much everywhere, but the standard is EN US UTF-8, and it works for most systems. And so just uncomment that, and by uncommenting is just to remove the hashtag for that preferred local that you want. And once you're done, hit Ctrl X, save it, and then now you want to finish the write by doing local -gen, and then it's important to not forget this step, because this is actually where you're going to be writing it to the configuration file, by doing echo and yeah, your local and then forward slash the directory where the configuration file is. And then after this step, we go to step 21, and this is where we're gonna so now I'm preparing to create a new user, because in Linux, like, it's not advisable to always use root all the time. So I'm gonna create a user which I'm gonna name admin. You can name it whatever you want, but you can use my user. You can use whatever. So I'm gonna be using echo admin. I'm gonna write that to the host, and then also enter nano that directory. So it's two commands here. The first one, echo admin, and then nano etc host, and then that's gonna bring you to this entry, and you want to make sure it looks like this. I added the third line. For most people, like, the two first ones are going to be included already, so just add the one with the admin.local domain admin. Admin, once again, is my choice. You can have whatever it is that you prefer. So step 23 now is where we're going to be creating password for the root and admin. And so for root, I just type password, and notes is PASSWD without the OR. So it's gonna prompt you for a password and to retype your new password. And then to actually add the new user admin, we use the user add command, with M, then admin, and then to create a password for that user, we're gonna do password then admin, and same steps once again, and that brings us to 24. And now is where we're preparing, to be able to boot into our system properly. So we do pacman, then s no confirm. That's so we don't have to hit yes all the time. Then grub, we're going to be installing grub. We're going to be installing EFI boot manager and network manager. All these are very important for your system to function properly. So make sure you run this command, and then you want to do this command as well. So this is going to work for most UFI systems. So install grub, because most computers use the 8464 type, and so just whatever it is that I have here is kind of long to pronounce everything. So once you've done that, it took like 2-3 minutes for me, also because my GPU is kind of dying, you could say. So next step, anyways, we're gonna be configuring the grub, and just type the command grub make config, and grub.cfg. And so that is I think to make sure the grub is in the right place. And there are also like further steps, maybe if you want to prioritize what OS, like the priority of the OS in the grub itself, but you can skip all that for now and just enter the first command, and then enable systemctl, very important, and then network manager. So the systemctl enable network manager, you enable the network manager using systemctl, so it's one command right there, systemctl enable network manager. So step 27 now is to enable GDM. So you're going to be able to boot into GNOME. That is, you're going to have a desktop environment. I assume most people wouldn't want to boot into terminal all the time. So once you've done that, before you do that, actually you also need to you need to install GNOME itself, so don't skip that, very important. So pacman, s no confirm, sorry Corey, I don't know how to pronounce that, GNOME, and then GNOME extra. So install GNOME and then enable it. And this is optional, but most people will want a browser. So install Chromium, which is in the official Arch Linux repository, so you don't have to use var or whatever it is. So use I recommend Chromium because it's lightweight, but you can also choose Firefox if you want. That's also available um, in the official package list, or yeah, repo, official repo, I think. So next step now, which brings us to the conclusion. Heat exits on mounts, so everything ejects and all processes quit safely. Reboot your system, and the last step, which isn't included, is to remove your USB drive from your computer, and then you should be greeted with the Arch Linux GNOME desktop environment. Enter your password, and everything should be running fine. Now, if you run into any issues, it's probably it's usually, or the culprits is usually, if you mounted or installed to the right disk. So make sure that you, like, for most computers it's SDA, so you want to make sure that it is that one that is mounted, and you want to just make sure to follow, once again, all the instructions very carefully. And that is that about that. I hope this video really helped. If you have any questions, any issues, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. And thank you for watching, and hope you have a really great day. Thank you.